click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing. And the tour of Northern Ireland continues, and we're up and whereabouts are we?
Where are we? It all becomes a blur.
County Tyrone.
Where's that?
County Tyrone.
County Tyrone.
We're delighted to be joined by John Burrows. Welcome to the podcast. How's things?
Thank you very much. Things is good. Dom phoned me there this week and asked me to come on here, and I'm very reluctant about it. But no, look, we're here now, and let's see what you can get pulled out of me.
I tell you what, this is the most nervous podcast I'll ever do, because I've essentially emotionally blackmailed into it. But John, like, you got to give the people what they want. Come on, John. He's like, I'm not sure.
Whenever he started talking about the money, then I started to sort of perk my ears up and get interested. So
right, well, that's the pod over. Let's pull the plug.
I tell you what, obviously you might sort of follow the podcast, but we'll have a wide range of guests, you know, from right across the sport, different disciplines, but like completely different. And we haven't actually had a thoroughbred roadsman on for a while, so you kind of fill in a niche for us, which we're delighted to have a quick crack with you.
Well, arguably you are the Irish national scene, aren't you? Really, you know, it's a case of we had Dave Murphy. Sorry, I'm confusing my names here. So we had Dave Murphy. I think that was the last pure roadsman that we had on. So anything up from there, John? Here we go.
I suppose it all starts off at circus, doesn't it? And then I was quite useless at that, so I went to road racing. And yeah, also we have really chased the road racing scene for many years, and it's where my heart lies. And yes, it carries the dangers, and we all know that. And but it's just hard to get away from it, and we missed all the wee road races down south those last couple of years, and you know what, going away down to them on a Friday night, and you take and get set up, you maybe light the barbecue, have a barbecue, have a beer. Next day you do your practice, same thing again, barbecue, beer, have a chat with the locals, and then up on the Sunday morning and get the racing and come home. And it's a great weekend, so it is, and it can be a family weekend as well, which is very good. Like,
I tell you what, that's the thing about like the Irish scene is definitely struggling, really, because it was it up to 12 races at one point? We're talking about when you were racing yourself at the high end, you know, that was, like, in my opinion, the pinnacle of road races, especially in the Irish scene. Is that a fair comment to say?
100%. You start off in Cookstown, followed straight away by the Tandragee, and then you missed a week and you had Northwest. And I think there was a week, possibly 2 weeks, for TT to happen, and then you come back from TT, and it literally was every weekend right to the end of August and into September, well, middle of August, and then you had Manx Grand Prix. So at that stage I was doing Manx Grand Prix classic races, and then you come back from that and you kill a lane, and really that was it wrapped up. But it was a heavy summer, but your life just revolted around it, and it was just so good of fun. And probably that out short circuit BSB man can't really see what we see. All they see is mucky fields, cows clap, and whatnot. But it's a different environment. It's like nearly you use the same bike, but it's two different disciplines, if you know what I mean. So
I tell you what, one of my favourite things about the Irish road racing scene is Chrissy couldn't believe when he first saw in Armoy cling film on tyres. He could not believe it. That's proper racing in my eyes, mind.
I need to come over, and it's obviously doing the podcast kind of opened my eyes up to loads of different things. But I'm very sort of naive really with the whole Irish road scene. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I've never been over to watch, and I'll put that on my bucket list this year.
Well, funny enough, you just texted me to say you're from Cookstown on your way up here. I was going to say to you, give him a lap around Cookstown to see what he thinks.
Is that somewhere close to here? Is it?
Yeah, Cookstown's basically the last town you come through is where the track is, just off the side of it. So, and it's not the worst one, Dom, is it? Like,
no, I'm trying to think. How long is the lap? It's going to be one of the shortest, hasn't it?
I think the lap record could be in the low 120s. So it is, so like 122 or something from memory. So it's not a long lap. Mm-hmm. You know, there's short circuits you do, Chrissy, which would be longer than that, I'm quite sure.
Do you know, in terms of like from the era where you were racing and now, I'm just trying to kind of understand like the sort of setup over here. So do lots of little like small towns basically have motorbike clubs where they host an event like Cookstown would be? Is that like a sort of what we would the North Yorkshire kind of thing, but they organise a race meeting and then there's events on all around the country? Is that how it works?
Well, you've got Cookstown, so you've got Cookstown Town, and there's a Cookstown Club, and we talked about earlier the Tandragee, so you've got a village Tandragee, and there's a club called Tandragee. So suppose it is a wee bit like that. Armoy, it's Armoy Club, Armoy Village. We all know the history behind that.
Is there any sort of, this might sound ridiculous, but if you're part of like the Cookstown Club, is the rivalries between the clubs?
It can be at times.
A little bit, yeah. A little.
It can be at times because sometimes it's
I feel like this is the opposite of most podcasts because I'm probably asking like really stupid questions because I just don't really understand. Like I don't understand like.
I'm normally the thicket on the show.
It is a case like that. A lot of the club members will move on from Cookstown and help the Tandragee people, not in the organising of it, but certainly. Maybe paddock marshals or flag marshals or things like that,
And is there a championship where they're all sort of?
Mm.
It's called the Ulcer Championship, which is Cookstown, Tandragee, and Armoy. So it's a 3-round championship as such. It used to be more when you had. I'll not remember all the circuits, but you had Mid-Antrim, which is coming back this year.
Is it?
Yeah, I see that.
Right.
It's coming back, so that'll be another round of the Ulcer Championship. And suppose the Bush that used to run, which is just across from here.
Is that coming back at all?
No, Bush will not. I can't see Bush coming back. But so at one period of time, in the Temple and Corridor, there was probably 6 or 7 national races up north, but now they're down to 3. I think.
And
I'm right.
Then Enniskillen, there's rumours.
Yes,
there's rumours that might be coming back on a different circuit, I believe.
I heard that.
Right, this is good. It takes 2 to rumour. It takes 2 to rumour, John.
I heard that now, but it's not a circuit I've actually ever drove around. It ran 2 years. Am I right in saying that?
It did 2 years, and it was like it got re-tarmac because like Fermanagh, the world's loveliest bog, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, but they're talking about changing the track layout, but it was
sun always shines up there.
Oh God, I tell you, we've got Lauren in the corner from County Fermanagh here nodding her head. But funny enough, the wettest place in the world, and the only 2 meetings I've had has been glorious tarmac splitting like sunshine. Right? I kid you not. Like the 2 times it's ran, it's been bloody glorious. But I'm surprised you've never been. Well,
no, I've never been there, and I can't remember the reasons why we weren't there. It wasn't. I think it was non-championship, maybe the first year, possibly. So, suppose with maybe doing so much, we didn't maybe see there was no value in going. You were just chasing a result, weren't you, really? And that's not disrespectful to the club. It's just because your calendar is so busy and you want to fit a bit of family time in, so there's an opportunity to take a weekend off. It's like Chrissy, you doing BSB, if there was a round on that there was no points for it, how do you sort of say, I'll not go there maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, sort of pointless. In terms of like the north and the south, is the road races on pretty much every weekend? And then people, like for example, if you wanted to when you were on this island, could you be like going all over the place racing quite often?
Used to more.
Yeah, well, this year of all the races on the calendar go, it's pretty much hectic again. But I'm optimistic that'll happen. I feel like every year there's always dates, and then come closer to the time for some one reason or another. Unfortunately, they don't run.
What events do you have in the south, like the clubs?
We have, as many Kells as one, Faugheen.
I've got a confession. I've never done a southern race.
Have you?
It's always clash. To be blunt, I've always run out of money. Get the violin out. Get the little violin out. It's because obviously the Cookstown, the Tandragee, and like
Northwest TT.
It builds up in that fashion, and you just tend to find like all the riders try and follow that fashion, don't they? Yeah. But you can imagine. Well, I don't have to tell you, you own your own race team. It just bleeds you dry. The TT absolutely bleeds you dry.
So I tell you what, we'll always do Patreon questions at the end, right? But I'm really excited because Mel Gantley from Canada. I've just seen it. His name's just popped up, and basically people can send in like video messages, and I'm like quite curious to see what he's asked you because
something about owing 20 quid or something like that. Remember, Mel?
So basically, we've just announced that you were coming on like not long ago, and so this is coming from over in Canada.
Good, sensible question, I'm sure.
No, not a chance. Not on this show. I think you've only watched a couple that say there's no direction.
That's a good question.
Oh, here we go. Straight away.
See where this goes.
Oh,
I'll tell you what. I might have to come back and join your Wi-Fi because I don't think we've got very good internet over here. Yeah, I think I'm running out of internet. I tell you what, we'll come back to it.
While we're waiting on that and waiting for the internet to catch up with Chrissy's phone here, it's a case of so. You said at the beginning there that you did a bit of short circuits. You did, like in your own words, you said you were rubbish, which I really find hard to believe. So it's a case of, was the roads, was that just, what was your attitude towards the roads? Like you said, it's a very dangerous, and we both know why we do it. We love it, but before stepping into the road scene, what was your draw? What was your initial draw to it?
I was very late starter. I was actually 30 before I started a road race.
Shut up, man.
Started a race, full stop. So that's young, isn't it? I'll not tell you what my birthday is.
You don't look old enough to be like, sorry.
That's the hair it gives away.
Jesus, 30-year-old, you started road racing?
Yeah, 30, well, I'm just counting back. 30 before I started a race, 2002.
And that short circuit's hopping on a bike.
Well, on 2001, a good friend of mine, Bill McCahey, was racing at the time, and he had an R6. Exactly, was the Adrian McFarlane's bike. So we're chatting one day, and I says to him, you know what, I'd love to go with that, but I don't think I could do it. This was a 30-year-old, 29 maybe at that stage, talking, and he says, when you come to Mondello some weekend, and I'll give you a spin out. So we rock up at Mondello for our first weekend and brought the old work van with my Balin's bike in the back of it. And Balin actually brought his R6 road bike so he could go out the track and I could follow him. So anyway, Balin arranged the garage and all, backs the van into the garage, opens the back door of it, then Balin opens the garage, and he was sitting in the garage next door, only Marty Nutt. And Marty was doing European Superstock at the time.
Bloody hell.
And I didn't know Marty as a person, knew him as a rider, so I was a wee bit sort of, what am I going to look like here? Coming in, like, basically out of the farmyard with the bikes, and just everyone was a bit through all the way. I was coming with maybe the toolbox and old tools out of the workshop. Everyone was just all wrong. So in we go, and I have to say, became friends with Marty and Billy that weekend, and his driver back then, John Adams, who looks after the paddock at the Northwest.
Right.
Big John was driving his truck around Europe that time, and they were absolute lovely people to be involved with, and Marty helped me all weekend and gave me some of his scrubs he was taking off, put them on my bike. And anyway, we had a race that weekend. That was the end of 2001, and on the practice on the Saturday, Balin went out on his road bike and I took Balin's race bike. So after a few laps, I thought, Balin's not moving on fast enough here, maybe slip by Balin here. So anyway, Balin could confirm this. I slipped by Balin, and I don't know how close he was behind me, but after a couple of laps, there's if you've done Mondello, was way out into the country called the corner Budweiser years ago, and I went into Budweiser, but don't know what happened, but I was starting to run out of road on the way out into the gravel trap and later down. So Balin was behind me, and
kicking and screaming.
Picked the bike up, and it was only a bit of gravel race really, but anyway, that was the first weekend. Hilton Hanks was racing and Marty was racing, and we done all right in the race. So that was it for 2001, and then we went on to 2002, and there was a Clubman series over here back then, and we had Derek Shields actually was a newcomer then as well, along with me, and Jonathan Ralph. Do you remember Jonathan Ralph?
I can't say I do, no.
Jonathan Ralph done the Manx Grand Prix as a newcomer with me. He actually rode for Chris Dowd in 03. So us three sort of battled out with a few other guys all year, and I was lucky enough at the end of the year. I won the 2002 Clubman Open Championship and 600 Championship, so I done the double in the first year.
In your first
season now. So
hold on, sorry, you don't just tip up Mondello and crack on like that. What were you doing beforehand? Just being a dick on the? Did you have a road license?
I had a road bike,
right.
I done a bit of motocross.
Right.
When I was about 12 to 16, and then I broke my leg, and I started to work. So knocked the motocross in the head and done nothing then. And Then went kart racing when I was 20 for a couple of years, but that just didn't sort of tick the boxes either. So then built the house and whatnot and what you do. And then got a road bike and then decided to give the racing a crack. And as I said to you, 2002 we done that, and then 2003 we were all guns blazing, going to do MRO, which had done a couple of MROs maybe in 2002 as well back then.
MRO, was that over in
Bempsey, it's like
the Bempsey Championship?
That's it. A girl, Bernie, used to run it. Was she a girl from Southern Ireland maybe?
Who's that, sorry?
A girl, Bernie.
Oh, Bernie and Dave.
Yeah.
So they used to run it and then they split off to form Thundersport GB.
Okay.
And then that's when kind of Bempsey split off. Yeah, Dave and Bernadette left and started Thundersport, which was kind of it was supposed to be like the bridge between BSB and sort of club racing, so it was like televised, and it was sort of aimed at being a sort of middle step.
It was a competitive series, like, and we'd over there didn't do very well at it, but got a bit of experience, I suppose. And then 2003 was going to go all guns blazing, MROs, do short circuits back home. We're just going to take over the world in my head, like. But went to the first.
This is 2 years of stepping on.
Went to the first weekend at Akadue, and I was sponsored by a guy, Hugh Murphy, HM Sports Motorhomes, and anyway, he had built me 1,000, and everyone was good and whatnot. But went to the Easter weekend. I can't remember what I could call that weekend, but the Ankle-On trophy races, I think that's what it is. And Derek Shields me said battled out the 2002 championship, which I won. Derek went to full nationals against Meg Swan and Hilton Hanks and Marty, not them guys. Derek actually ended up winning, and I was trailing around the back. Couldn't get my head together. I just couldn't get back into the short circuit scene again, and still wasn't thinking of roads, but I had done in 2002, in fairness, I done the support race at Cookstown, being my local.
Right,
so I did. That's gone back a bit now, but on the last lap, you know how it works over here. You start off in waves, 7, whatever. And going on to the last lap, I was leading the support race, the first road race, and across the line, and fist up in there. I thought I won the race and all, and come
Show
back
me
in.
the money.
Paul Ernie had caught me from Group 2 and beat me by half a second or something. So that was, but look, it was good, supposed to do it and whatnot. But
was that your introduction to the roads?
The roads, that was only road race I done in 2002, and again in 2003. That was just my own in my head. We'll just do that. Cookstown being local again, but got off to a bad start in 2003 on the short circuit scene. I just instantly wasn't enjoying it. So,
is that because you did a road race, do you think?
Possibly. So we done the 2003 Cookstown, and I won the support. I think I won both support races, 750 and 400 maybe there. I can't remember, but anyway, I definitely won one of them, if not two of them. And then entered into the Northwest, and I got accepted there. So
I'm going to call you Balls Deep Burrows from now. That's what I'm going to call you. You just jump in, young.
So straight away then, you do the Northwest, and that puts you out of the support races, so you do an international race. So
right.
That was sort of hitting the head, but then the Manx Grand Prix, I don't know for why, it started coming to my head. So 2003, we've done the Manx Grand Prix as well, and I'd only done, I think, prior to that, maybe Kells in 2003. So it, again, hadn't a lot of road race experience prior going to the Manx, but
yeah,
I went and done the homework in the Manx Grand Prix, and it was, it's worked in all right.
Because one of my friends was on the newcomers course with you, Alistair Bailey.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Alistair Bailey. It's like, and who else was on that newcomers list?
Jonathan Ralph I mentioned was on it.
Yep.
Hutchie done my newcomers race that day.
Yep.
So he did. Alex Donaldson was a great national road race man back home. Who else would have been back then? I was going to say Kenny McRae and Gordy Taylor, but they're already Manx Grand Prix men back then.
Right.
I don't know if you remember them, Dom, or not. Do you?
I can't say I do, no.
They're much too old, them boys now.
So, do you know when you set yourself the challenge of going to the Manx, did you find it difficult to learn the circuit, or did it come quite naturally to you?
You know what? I didn't struggle one bit at all to learn it. Wasn't a hero at it, don't get me wrong, but it didn't struggle to get the rights and the lefts and whatnot.
Well, prior to that, had you been to a Spectate or anything on the Isle of Man? Was it like
Aye. Well,
What do you mean I? Like,
whenever you asked me or told me you were coming here, so I thought, right, what am I going to say here? And that did go through my head. My very first TT that I went as a spectator was 1993. So, and I actually thought in my head today, well, that's 10 years later. I actually was a writer from going to watch it. Never been in the Isle of Man before. And we rocked up on the boat into Douglas, walked up Broadway. We're staying somewhere in Broadway, dumped the bags off and had to go straight out for the Formula One races starting. So the lady's house we were staying in, we asked her, how do you get to the circuit? So she pointed us a couple of roads. You know what Broadway's like there?
Yeah.
Spaghetti Junction, in it. So we walked off and we come to the course, and where we came to was the bottom of Bray Hill. That's where we just come out at the bottom of Bray Hill, and we literally were there 10 minutes, and the first bike come through. I'm trying to think who went off number one that day. Mark Flynn is ringing a bell in my head, and I'm not 100% sure. But he came down and had a curb cam sitting on the inside, at the bottom of Bray Hill, and he just clinked it with his foot, and the curb cam just went all over the place. But it just seemed, insane to watch bikes going down at that speed. And that day, Robbie Dunlop was riding Oxford to Kerry, along with Mark Farmer as a teammate. And McKellen, he was riding his RVF 750 Castrol Honda.
Jesus.
And Nick Jeffries was a teammate on the other Castrol Honda, I think maybe along with Joey. So McKellen was all souped up to win the race, obviously, on this RVF, but he got hurt at the Northwest prior to it. He had a crash at Church Corner.
Aye.
So he had hurt his shoulder, so he wasn't in the best form. But anyway, Nick Jeffries ended up winning the Formula One race. So he did, and which is Nick's only win it. TT win.
It was, yeah.
So, and do you know what? I see Nick on Facebook and I see him about the paddock. I never actually spoke to him, and I must actually go someday and tell him that story. Like it's the first time I ever arrived in Isle of Man and he won the race. So,
do you know, from so standing at the bottom of Bray Hill, seeing them come past, was there something instantly inside that you thought to yourself, one day I need to do this myself, or did that just come naturally later on?
No, definitely not. I never thought. I think like everybody's parents, your parents never want you riding a motorbike, never mind doing road racing. So it was something I probably thought I would never do. And then whenever it came to buying motorbikes, suppose you were 30 and they just went along with it, didn't they? But then I went to probably 5 or 6 times after that, just a spectator, and I went on a road bike and camped and done things like that, So every year we all want to get to the Isle of Man, don't we? Like there's something about it, and I don't know if you've been, Chrissy, have you?
Yeah, I've been a few times.
I was about to say you two have done something I've never done. I've never been there as a spectator. So what? No, never. My dad's raced my entire life, but my experience of watching like around the mountain course was pit lane. You know what I mean? I only learned about the mountain course.
So your dad raced, so you were actually at the paddock.
Oh, I had like overalls twice the size, like hooked up and stuff like that. But classic bikes, you see, never modern stuff.
Yeah.
So you didn't pit. So you used to just go up. You used to get a seat on the petrol pumps, and all I ever saw was the top of Bray Hill. That's all I ever saw.
And you know what? Even to this day, a lot of people's the same. You take it, all the teams and most of the mechanics are there because it's a job within the professional teams. They've never seen a bike go anywhere else, only down by them and start and finish, really, when you think about it.
Tell you what, the worst thing I've ever done, worst thing you could ever do is your first breakdown and you watch people come through. You know what I mean? I remember breaking down I had my own ZX6, but the power commander packed in, but it went into map mode 1. So when you get a wire failure, but my map mode 1 was the pit lane limiter.
Yeah.
And it just went, and I'm going in the Balagary and the thing it was just like it lost two cylinders. I was like, oh shit. So I had to park up on the inside, got fed lasagna and 6 bottles of beer. Oh God, you get treated like a king. And she parked me on this bench. Oh, it's a cracking seat. And by the time everyone came through, it was the sidecar passengers. My respect for sidecar people was insane. I'm literally sitting there like I'm in the Mississippi, like drinking beer, looking at the sun go down, and these lads in the Birchills came in, and it was just not a single roll of the throttle, absolutely flat stick, and you could just hear the tyres screech.
Is that at the actually on the corner itself?
Actually on the inside of it, and you could just. And phenomenal.
What's been your favourite place to spectate?
I know where it is. I'm starting to think of the name of it now. Just before they come to Ballacrane, the right-hander, the fast right-hander. Gorsley.
Is it Gorsley? Aye, it's got the white. It used to have the white building, but they got rid of it.
Used to have what?
The white building on the left-hand side. I know exactly what you mean. It's like they had a little red. They had the little door.
There's a house there on the left, and then a long wall.
Aye.
You just come out. It's after Greba Bridge.
Yeah, that's the one. Aye, that's the one. And then but I think they've got rid of that building, or the door. They did a change anyway. But I remember all the riders kicking off about that.
They put timber all around the corner on the outside, plywood.
Yes.
You remember if anything would happen, at least there's something to try and stop you from getting in there. But well, that would stop you or not, I'm not quite sure. Like,
yeah,
do you know from your first Manx, how long did your riding career span from that year?
Well, I retired in 2012.
What was your first Manx?
2003.
Right.
So, but then 2003 Manx, and then at that stage you could do the production TT. So I done the 2003 Manx, the production TT on 2004, and then 2004 Manx again. But then you couldn't do the 2005 production TT. They stopped that. So it was I had to wait till another year to get to the Manx in 05.
Right.
And in 05 I got my only ever podium at the Manx in 05, and then I went to TT in 06.
What class was it that you got the podium
600.
In? Right.
And Ian Patterson, you remember Ian?
Oh,
Ian's still doing it, isn't he? Like,
yeah. Well, no, he
Granda, he is too.
I think Ian from the North East there.
Aye, yeah.
I think he packed in.
Has he packed in?
He used to be the fastest North East lad ever around the team. He had a lovely, great big banner above his awning.
He's a terrific guy.
Used to have that.
He won it, and Seamus Green was second, and I was third. And me and Seamus has been great friends, and it was lovely to share that podium with him. And as I said, it's my only podium at the Manx Grand Prix, and I felt as if probably it was there's a lot of hard years the Manx saying. Alan Jackson was there at that time, and he set the lap record over 122 back in 05.
Jesus,
04.
that's
fast on.
That's chomping that.
What I am 750 Kawasaki's.
Right.
What do you call your guy? And then a man. He's passed on now.
Oh,
they don't them bikes. It's Wilson Collins was up beside him, wasn't it? Desi.
Oh, it's gone. Bollocks.
But anyway.
So, did he? Sorry, I've got to ask this question before it leaves me mind. Did he beat Hutchie then?
Did I beat Hutchie?
in the first year.
Hutchie came, and Robbie Sylvester, I got friendly with Robbie, so we were sort of working with Robbie outside his dyno. Robbie brought the dyno over and dynoed all the bikes in the paddock and whatnot that time.
Right.
So Hutchie came as a newcomer, and I suppose really unknown as such. He'd been doing short circuits, and he was riding a CBR 600, and he kept bringing up the dyno to get it dynoed. And then I was riding McAdoo's 750 Kawasaki, the one that Bob Jackson had rode. So
right.
I rode that in the newcomers that day, and it was a great opportunity to get it, and it's a lovely bike and everything, but it's just so hard that it's flat side carbs. It's so hard to get out of Ramsey Herpin and the gooseneck, and you just come out and one blah before we go. But when you got it wound up and going, it was a terrific bike. But anyway, you could see where Hutchie's career was going after that race. He kept bringing the bike up to the dyno, and the best Robbie could get out of it was 99 brake horsepower, and he won the race and done a lap of 117 or 116 possibly as a newcomer. And after the newcomers race, he went home, flew back to England, and came back for the presentation. He had a start in the senior, but not in the junior or something, but he didn't even ride the senior. So that year of his newcomers, he just done the newcomers and then went straight to TT the following year. Or was he injured and didn't get no 4 maybe?
I have no idea. I had no idea about Hutchie's career on that side of things.
He crashed at Northwest, so he did. I'm not sure it was at 04, 05, and missed the TT the first year he was supposed to do it. I think now, something like that.
So were you riding for McAdoo then, in your first time there?
I done my newcomers race for McAdoo on the ex-Bob Jackson 750 Kawasaki.
Oh, so did you buy that bike from McAdoo?
No,
or was that under McAdoo's colours?
Winston Jason lent me that bike.
Right.
So I did. So, and actually, it was probably Ryan Fokker who was riding for him at the time. Ryan had asked Winston for the bike for me. Not that I have known Winston, they're just down the road from me here. So asked the bike, and Ryan came over actually and helped me that fortnight as a newcomer as well. So
Because where was Ryan in his career at that point? Was he fully established on the roads at that point?
That was 03. I do believe Ryan won his first TT in 03, did he?
Right. Also, he was very established then.
I think he had won his first TT on the Production 600.
Right.
I think now, again.
So was he there helping you around, like getting pointers and stuff?
Yeah, and he stayed with us in the house and whatnot. And look, it's great help, and having somebody of his experience to help me along, like, and he introduced me to Gaz as well, the camera guy.
Yeah, he sadly passed away. Was that last year as well?
No, just barely, probably November time, I would say.
Jesus.
Gaz passed on. It's so sad now. And he introduced me to Gaz, so Gaz put the camera on our bike every practice session, and then he would then burn it off onto a CD and would bring it back and watch it that night, and you thought it was class, just watching yourself around the man. You thought you were flying, and then when you looked at it, maybe it wasn't that fast, but it was a great benefit. Like.
Do you know, throughout your TT career, so up till, did you say 2012?
Yeah.
What was your personal sort of highlights, and like what was your sort of best results and your best lap speeds and that sort of thing?
2009. I bought a bike off Taz. It was actually Michael Laverty's sewer bike from BSB, because 2009 the new Suzuki came at that stage. So the old 08 bike, Phillips then was selling all his 08 stuff off. So terrific bike. I think Cameron Dolland and Anstey had won TTs in 08 on the same spec bike. Like. So I bought that, and 09 went to TT, and on this would have been Formula 1 race back then, or what was it called? Formula 1 race or Surebike race, whatever, on the Saturday, the first race out. I had an eighth place finish in that, and I don't remember my exact. I know my fastest laps, but around the 1:24.5. And if you take it where we're sitting now, that's 10 years ago, like it, and the lap record was 130 back then, was it?
It would have been just below that at that time, wouldn't it? I'm trying to think, when did McGuinness do the 130?
So we were about 5-6 mile an hour off the top.
But
so in today's money, 10. Like a sort of, like...
It's around about 129, 130 today if you move it forward in percentages or whatever. But so we had an 8th place on the first Surebike race on the Saturday, and I don't remember what we done during the week on the other bikes. And then the Friday was the senior, and I had a 10th. So I was sort of quite pleased that one backed up the other a wee bit. Yes, you always have guys dropping out, which is always going to bring you up a place or so. But the bike was terrific. I felt it a good ride, and then we went to the post. Is the post TT you call it? And it's on the Saturday out of Castletown, and I won the Surebike race there. And me and Mark Parrott had a real battle right to the checkered flag, so I won that. And it's a great week, and you don't always get weeks like that, and obviously a more established rider wouldn't class that as a good week, but
that's
private here I was delighted. Like.
And did that start your affair with Suzuki's then? Because you've always been a Suzuki man. Is that a fair comment?
I think we jumped off. We were on a Honda maybe the previous year, a Fireblade. Right. I was still riding for Hugh Murphy at that stage, and then at a farm dust in 08 was the start of it was started off as BE racing, but now as Burrows engineer and RK racing. But that was the first start of my own team as such. So it was.
Just from the outside, when I listening to people doing road race and like say from like your dad and yourself and just various people, it seems quite common for people when they do like genuine road racing that people have bikes, and you tend to ride for like other people who have got bikes. It almost like there's like quite a lot of people who seem to have bikes who like to see them raced on the roads. Is that quite a common? Or was that quite a common thing when you were riding yourself? Like you always seem to be riding for somebody else. Like, did you not have your own bikes?
Dom probably knows that now. Even yet, there's loads of bikes floating about that people say, Dom, would you ride this for me, the classic TT, for instance, or I've got a 600 here. I'll bring it to TT for you. Would you have a spin on it? There's a lot of that going on, isn't there?
It's that's a total fair comment. But it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you've got such genuine people going, "Oh, can you ride my bike for us?" And then you think, well, actually, you need the right. It just gets to a point where you take a step, don't you? And then you need that little bit quicker bike, and then you take a little bit further.
From their point of view, is it are they just passionate people that want to see because obviously they're taking a massive financial risk allowing somebody else. I'm just talking like generally for the sport, all the people that seem to like donate bikes to be raced. It's obviously like a massive financial risk for them, and there's no real financial reward. So for them people, is it just passionate people that want to see the bikes flying around closed roads? Is that the idea?
Probably in Irish national road racing there is a lot of that going on, but it's like everything. If you're a rider and sitting without a bike, it seems always difficult to get one. You know, I suppose as much as everybody wants to lend their bike out, they always like to see it at the front or close to the front, and it's maybe not always the case. Like, but then it gets down to the point where people can afford to buy the bike and give the lend the bike, and the bike has to be ran, and if the bike's crashed or the engine blows up, who fixes and repairs that? It always gets sticky and messy, and relationships fall apart at that point, don't they? Like, you know?
God, aye.
Do you know, you just mentioned it was the sort of birth of running your own team. So was that while you were still racing yourself, you sort of started up your own team?
Yeah, I was 2009. 2009 I started that, I do believe.
So when did you get the podium again?
The podium at the Manx Grand Prix was 05.
05, and then you went and you got your two top tens at the TT, and then it was just, why the sudden change of like heart really to run your own team, or was that to run yourself in your own team?
No, well, as I say, I've mentioned Hugh Murphy, and Hugh had backed me and supported me for many years, and then I just got to the point where Hugh had a sort of come to the point where he wanted to back away from it, and I don't think he ran anybody after that. That was sort of the end of it, where I just tried him. What, I'm not quite sure, but no, he stepped away from it at that stage. So like everything else, probably nobody was giving me bikes, and I decided we'll put my own team together, and then I had some good personal sponsors as well, and you know, I suppose it is to the case it's easier when you own your own bike. If you get the bad result, you don't have to try and justify it to somebody, and because if you are riding somebody's bike, you always want to do your best you can, don't you? So, and it's a bit even like the riders I've had, and I always tell them, and they all know that there's no pressure from me going out there to get a result, but it is nice to get the result. Don't get me wrong, you love it when you get it, but you don't have to come in and make excuses for if you didn't win the race or you weren't in the hunt at the front. We can try again another day, because any rider I've had, I picked him for his ability. So, you know, we're always going to get there someday. Some days you're going to have a bad one, aren't you?
What inspired you to hang the leathers up and take a step back from riding yourself?
Aye, well,
there was no inspiration; it was forced. I'm joking.
Look, I didn't have any plans to stop racing, and Jack was born in 2010, which was my first child, and I sort of suppose it started niggling me a wee bit then when I was doing road racing, and Rachel was at the TT. I just remember my last TT, not even 2011. You know, she couldn't come up onto the road with me before I went off my race, so you had to say your goodbyes down in the paddock, and she would go up onto the grandstand with Jack, and I would go up and meet the boys up on the road, and she wasn't there right to the end, but you could always feel when I was walking away that there was something just burning in her eyes, burning in the back of my head. I don't know, it just was a weird feeling. But look, when you get on the bike and let the clutch out and go down the hill, you know how it is, Dom. That's it. You know, it's just you and the bike on the road, and if you can't do that, well, you need to pull in. But so like 2012 it wasn't going to be my last TT, like, so it wasn't. But good friend Trevor Ferguson unfortunately lost his life at the Manx Grand Prix in 2012, and Trevor and me done a lot of socialising together. We brought in 2011 stroke 2012, we brought in that New Year's Eve together. So that's the kind of friends where we were close. And to this day, his son Danny, you know Danny, Danny was with me a lot at all the racings, does our PR and stuff now. And so he unfortunately lost his life in the Super Twin race while he was maybe dicing for the lead, maybe second place or something.
Right up there.
His wife, his daughter actually rang me, Jane rang me, and then Doris, his wife, came on the phone to tell me from the race office what had happened. And instantly I set the phone down and said, that's it, that's me finished. And I never told anybody, never told Rachel she was at work, and then she came home from work and I told her, and I felt if I hadn't done it then, maybe it was the excuse I was looking to get out of it for the kids was, and Rachel was pregnant at that stage for her second child, and maybe there was just something bothering me within me, but I don't regret making the decision.
Yeah.
But I thoroughly missed the racing, and Des, I kind of think, did I make maybe a harsh decision? Should I knock the modern day bikes in the head and maybe fiddle about with 350 Classic and got back to the Manx Grand Prix? But I've never gotten a lap run it, and if there is a parade lap this year at TT, I'm going to ask Paul Phillips how do we go about getting a parade lap. I'd love an lap run for. I come down. The last race in 2012 was a Super Twin race for the senior. I didn't run that year, so my last lap never felt like it. I didn't.
Aye.
If that makes sense to you.
Aye.
You know,
Aye.
I'd like to do that lap just to finish the job off.
Like it's almost a close.
Aye.
Close it for yourself.
You know, look, it's just when you ride it, it doesn't matter how good you are. You set your own goals, don't you, Dom? And you know,
it's a very rare place where it's in black and white. Your barrier is in black and white. You know, you can go to a short circuit or a BSB, and you look at a lap time, but that's so. For me and for yourself, it's almost like a numb feeling, if you know what I mean. But when you get to the Isle of Man, it's no one else matters. You get like a result sheet, and you just look for one name. You look for your own, you can. And I don't think I've ever told you this, but it's the most upsetting feeling looking at timesheet. It ruins a lap, doesn't it? For me, like going around the Isle of Man, looking at that timesheet, fucking ruins it.
The thing about it is, Chrissy, if you look at, say your best lap is 120 mile an hour for it, and you've done a lap and you've done 121 just for instance, but yet in all you're 20th on the sheet, you've still felt you've achieved something. You know what I mean? These 20 boys or 19 boys ahead of you, it doesn't matter anymore. Like I've done my best lap tonight, and you know, how can we improve going forward? And it's a strange place. Like.
I tell you what, you know, we're talking about hanging up the levers. You know, he hasn't fully, you know, he's a clever man, is Mr. Burrows here. He goes around, takes the newcomers out, don't you?
Ah, yeah.
On his race bike, so he gets the nice bike setting. I see his plans. He just gets the bike nicely bedded in, scrubs the tyres in. Right, go on, lads, off you go. Clever man.
Does that still like sort of half scratch the itch at least?
Yeah.
But look, I do enjoy doing it, and I do enjoy giving something back to some of the newcomers as well. And you know, obviously, I don't go to somebody I don't know because I don't know them. But if any of them want to come and ask for some advice, I'd bring them round for a lap round Kirkstown, Tandagee. But when I'm out there now, Dom, because I'm way out long, I just can't understand how you guys do it anymore, and I've just lost that whole edge of it, I think, you know. But it is nice to get round at the pace I want to go and bring a few of newcomers round.
Do you know when it came to that transition from not riding to, and you'd already sort of set your own team up, so it was like a sort of transitional period. So the first year that you weren't racing yourself, did you have like a full stable of bikes and riders on them, or did you have like a few quiet years and then sort of gradually build up to what you've got now?
No. Well, 2012 I retired, as was said of that. So 2013 was the first year. So basically, we went and used what bikes I was riding back then. So my super bike, we brought Stephen Thompson on board, and basically it was for TT. But Stephen done Cookstown for us and TT and Northwest, and ended up going to Mackay with Stephen. That's how the relationship started with Mackay. He sort of introduced us there and got us over and whatnot. But so he was doing the big bike. Nigel Muir was riding the 650 for me, so he was. And I had a 250, and I had Michael, I'm pretty sure 2013, Michael Sweeney as well, was on the 250.
Jesus.
So I had quite a full stable stuff then.
Was that a case of like you still wanted to have your finger on the pulse, like have your bikes, getting them all prepped? And was it a case of, did you ring round and like sort of say like, look lads, I've got this bike, if you want to ride it, like mend it, you bend it type of thing?
Aye, well, it's like everything. Whenever I stopped, the bikes was there, and you had no problem getting riders because the phone was just going. You can have that bike, whatever. So, no, look, that was an introduction to it. Unfortunately, I went to TT with Stephen, and the bike we changed from Pirelli tires to Dunlop tires. Never just quite found the right setting, and just didn't work right for us. But whenever we seen the whole thing was a bit of a disaster, Northwest and TT, and the next big event was Ulster Grand Prix for Stephen. So we went and done a day's testing, or 2 days testing, one at Mondello and one at Bishop's Court, with Lee Finlay, who works for Taz.
Oh, aye.
Lee. So Lee came with us, and we found a good set on the bike and went to Ulster Grand Prix, and Stephen had a good ride, and we went to the Mackay, and so we finished the year off well. But that was probably a bit wrong from my side. I hadn't got the right people in place to get that set up, whereas today with big Mark Arnott of Motoshock, he's there to do suspension. So if I had hit him back then, we'd have hit on the setting earlier. It's all about suspension at BSB, isn't it? And I guess
Road's no different, is it?
Road racing, we're not just as there, are we?
Well, it's
Then anyway, like.
Yeah, no, even now it's a game that the atmosphere changes that much, the environment changes, there's bumps and everything. It's not like a smooth billiard table. But tell you what, I've got to ask. For me, on a personal note, the riding bit is a selfish bit, if you know what I mean, and that and that's the enjoyment part of it. You're going out there, and that's the rawness of it. You're sticking your neck out, so. I think what you've done is a much harder thing. Starting up your own team, having someone else on your bike, was that a harder transition for you? Like the responsibility, shall we say?
There's no doubt about that. And even to this day, the responsibility of it. And there is days I still ask myself and question myself, what if. And these ifs could become reality, something can go wrong. But you can only prepare the thing as best you absolutely can and try and cross all the T's and dot all the I's. It was hard the first year because when things weren't going right, you weren't sure, was it the bike, was it the rider, what was happening, because you were quite fresh yourself at that stage. You felt you should still jump on the bike and be as competitive as what you had. But today, I know I wouldn't be quick enough anymore. Too many birthdays, too long off the bike, too stiff. You know what I mean? So the riders I have now and the riders I've had in the past, have always done a tremendous job. To be fair,
Yeah, would you mind just quickly running through your riders? So, since having your own team, obviously you mentioned Stephen Watson there. Would you mind just?
Watson, he was better on the mic.
What, sorry?
Stephen Watson would be better on the mic.
Stephen Watson's the BBC presenter.
Is it? Who did I say?
You said
I Watson. Did you? No.
Who was the lad? Sorry,
Thompson.
Oh right, sorry.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day. That's it.
If you got some of these in here,
yeah, that's it. Get a Richard
listing the riders that you've had riding.
Yeah, Phillips, I'm having one.
Try not to forget anybody here. Well, 13, which we've mentioned. 14, Paul Phillips got in touch with me.
What you say? Paul Phillips is on your bike. Hold on, we've lost the plot here, lads.
No, I can't remember how Paul got in touch with me. Anyway, he rang me, or I got in touch with him. Maybe I don't remember how that came about, but Don Neen's name came in the equation, and went through it all. And I remember Paul saying to me, "I've got this young guy," and I knew of Don, he had been racing quite a while before that, and remember his Manx Grand Prix days. He says, "I'll send you a video." He says, This guy's not scared. And he sent me a video, I think it was coming out of Raincullen. You should go with that jump, whatever that's called, Dom. And the thing got all crossed up on him.
Oh, great. Aye. Oh, geez, that was him.
Aye.
Oh, Jesus.
So he sent me a video, and obviously I knew, right, this guy's definitely not scared. He'll put it out there. But so 2014, we took Dan on. And he had never done any national road racing. And we come over here with him. And I'm pretty sure, bar Bush road races, he won all the big bike races, bar one or two maybe here and there, but one first time at Kirkstown, one at Tandagee, one at Kells, done the double, one at Faheen, won all them road races, and then become the Irish champion on superbikes. And also at the Ulster Grand Prix that year, as Dan's only ever international win, he won the Superstock race for us at the Ulster Grand Prix, which was...
Oh, I tell you what, that was one hell of a battle with
Dean Harrison.
Literally, he was the pair of them were just coming off down. We took for a lap this morning around. He'd been around Dundrum before, but this morning we're just killing a bit of time and just coming off down Diaz Leap, and it was just Jesus wept. It was just because was it Davy Todd had a bit of his... Was that unfortunately on your bike as well? Was it Davy Todd?
Yeah,
was that on one of your bikes? My God, thank God he's still with us, because that was... Jesus, wept.
So was that your first big win?
Aye, that would have been the first big win. And like Dan, to be fair, Dan probably put the team on the map as such. You know, I suppose, let us see what we could do as a team and let people see what we were as a team as well, you know. So we had a great year with Dan, lots of top tens at Northwest, or TT as well. Can't remember Northwest. Obviously, you can't remember. It wasn't that great, maybe, but anyway, that was 14. Then 15, we had Jimmy Hamilton, and obviously 14 we had Michael Sweeney on the 250. So we had on the Irish roads, and he won the 250 Irish Championship that year as well. So it was good. Both boys got a championship. So look, it really puts the fire in your belly to push forward for another year. But then, like most riders, when you get them to a point in their career, they want to move on then. So Dan, he moved on. And for 2015, we had Jamie Hamilton. So we had, fortunately, Jamie had for us 2 podiums at the Northwest on the Super Twin, which for the team, that was our only podiums at the Northwest.
And also he was doing outstanding in the national scene as well. Like, because Jamie did BSB, didn't he, as well?
Jimmy was British champions.
That was it, yeah.
Junior Superstock, what do you call it?
There we go. So you've already massively begun to get a fantastic reputation, you know, as far as running top quality lads immediately.
So Jimmy done a tremendous job. He really did. Like, and he's a hard charger. And to say, we're running at the front of Cookstown, run the front of Tannergee, Northwest, the 2 podiums, which was outstanding. Really, like, got us all fired up again. And we're going then to TT, and he'd done 128 mile-an-hour laps in practice stuff, which is his fastest laps to date. And unfortunately, had that massive big crash at TT. And
it was end of Cronk-your-Body, wasn't it?
End of Cronk-your-Body.
He did his leg in, and his we're definitely aiming to get him on the show one day, and we'll get the full story on that side of things. But he was a very, there's a terminology I like to say, lucky unlucky. You know what I mean? He's unlucky that he was involved in a crash, but he's lucky that he's still with us.
It was a massive get off. Like, I know, I imagine Jamie took the corner in 6th. You know, it's definitely a flat out 5th, if not a 6th gear corner. Wow. And it bag stepped out and launched him down the road, and I done a serious damage. So lucky that there was a couple of people there that were medics, and they were able to attend to him straight away and saved his life. Like, so that unfortunately finished Jamie's career. It was such a shame because he was such a character within the team. You know, the crack was good. Everything was working on track, off track, and everything. So, but
the good thing about Jamie though, he's a massive, great ambassador of road racing, and he always sticks around with the team. You know, and he's what's good about him is, like, a lot of people getting injured, both on shorts as well as roads, and it's easy for them to it's the sport's fault. You know what I mean? And Jamie's actually a really good, strong, personal, like, ambassador for the sport. He really is.
You know what? Like, he was about our awning more times than enough, and he's very welcome, and it's always great to see him. And, you know, obviously he's still a lot of following as well, like, so he has, you know. So that, I can't remember who we took on. We had a few guest riders really in 15 then, just to finish out the year.
Well, I'm trying, even to rack off the names quickly, you've had like Glenn Irwin at like Bishop's Court, haven't you?
Glenn won the Sunflower that year at the...
There we go. I'm trying to think who else you've had. Like Tom Whedon, you've got Mike Brown, you've got Paul Jordan, you've got... Derek Shields. Jesus, Derek Shields, my God, that is it, because he's just one of them untouchables, isn't he? What I like about Derek though, he's almost like the Bruce Anstey of the Irish road racing scene. He just wake up, get on the bike, and you'll just go banging on pole. It's bloody upsetting. You just give him a clear lap, and you're like, oh, who's on pole? Let me guess.
Have you got your team sorted for this coming year, 2022?
Yeah, we have. Where we ran 2 riders last year, and 2 riders for this last number of years, really, and I've scaled it back to a 1 rider this year. But we've had Mike Brown. This is going to be year 3 with Mike, but because of 2 COVID years, we haven't really. Did we get sort of 1 season within 2? Not really even, but between testing and racing, we've still done a lot of laps, and, you know, we've got to know Mike within the team, and he's gelled again. It's his first time coming into the team. He was running his own show, so big step as well. He's quite a backward lad, so he is, and I rate him highly. Whatever Derek rode first for 3 years, and I don't even know how many national road race wins he's had, and we've won a few championships with Derek. And it's hard when it comes to the point where, right, Derek and me were going to go our separate ways for no bad reasons. Just want to try different things, and I never thought I would have a replacement for Derek. It's kind of hard to get a complete replacement for Derek Shields. As you said, he just goes out and bangs on a pole or whatever. But this lad, Mike Brown, again, Mike's 30 as well, so he's at the age I feel that they're not 30-year-old is better for road racing. We bit maybe more calm, are you? Like, and you can look at things slightly differently. But Mike has come on board, and last year the Cookstown 100 was his second ever ride on a big bike. He'd only ever rode 600s, and we put him out at Armagh on a big bike, and he thought he could work with a big bike on the road. For he's tiny. He's
a small lad, like, isn't he?
He's small. He's Ulcer City size, like, so. He is.
Really, that small?
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was that small.
So Armagh first time out, and his results didn't warrant the achievement he done. On the second superbike race, he finished like 6th or something, but he was way back, say 20 seconds back. But by the end of the race, he was matching the lap times of apart from Michael, he was matching the lap times of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place men. So that result went totally unnoticed, but I noticed it because obviously I was looking at my rider and looking at what he was doing. Mm-hmm. So I knew he started like want to ride a big bike.
You had Malachi Mitchell Thomas ride for was that 2016? Yeah, and because I was actually racing with him in Junior Super Stock. Yeah, like sort of running up, and maybe 2000. Yeah, I think it was 2016. Yeah, and because he was riding for
Silicon, wasn't
Silicon,
it?
I was
Silky. It's one of us is getting it wrong anyway, but I think it's Silicon.
I'm not going to try it.
I'm pleased it's changed to Dow Racing now because it's a lot easier to say. But yeah, Silicon, and then he started the national road race, and you got you did quite a few events with Malachi early that year.
Yeah, to be fair, Malachi was probably the most naturally talented rider I've ever had. Like, Chrissy, like he was just a tremendous kid as well. Like, I went and met him and his dad one day in the airport in Belfast, and we got a deal put together, and Malachi then came over here, done some testing, and we done some racing, and he came over here and he lived with us the short time that obviously before we went to Northwest, and probably was living with us here for 6 weeks, whatever. So we got to know somebody is under your roof like quite well, like, and kids got to know him well, and he was just a big kid himself, like, so he was, and great lad, so much time for him. But anyway, the first road race we went with him was Mid-Antrim, the wet year.
Him and Farquhar and
Shields it
was, wasn't it?
So
Jesus.
I don't have to tell you the ability. We've talked about Derek, the ability of Farquhar and that. And first superbike race, Mal, never seen the place before, practiced the Friday night and went out and beat Farquhar and beat Shields in the first superbike race. Like, that takes some guts, which guts he had loads of it. He was on pouring with ability. Second superbike race, I would say Derek was definitely at a point where here, boy, this is not happening again. And I think he just beat Derek possibly, so he did in the second one, but he had a second place and he won both 600 races, and he was second to Farquhar. The two of them crossed the line together in Super Twin. So he came over and there was great money to it. I've been out them on a weekend, so he got a bit of a paycheck in his pocket now, and everyone was good. And then we went on to Cookstown. What's the next one? Maratandra was the next one. I can't remember which one was.
Didn't Cookstown and Tamragee take turns of like which one they run first? But like Malachi came from a supermoto background, wasn't he? He was heavy, and you could just see that style. You know, the way he just attacked, like, because that Mid-Antrim meeting was covered in dirt, and the way he attacked the jumps at Tamragee.
Did he do the Manx that year or the year before?
The year before 2015.
121 man alongside Billy Redmayne. It was a
new lap record he set, didn't he? For a Manx Grand Prix.
Yes. So that would have been a 22 then. That would have been a 22 then.
It was around that.
It would have been around, but galloping anyway. It was absolutely howling.
He was motoring on, and say that probably really got him noticed, didn't it, by a lot of people. And but we went to Cookstown in 2016, and he didn't win any races at Cookstown, but he was in the podium in every race. he jumped off. They were in the 600 race. William Dunlop was leading. Don Neen was second, I think, and Malachi was third. But they were Don and Malachi was bringing back William, and on the last lap they went out over the top of the hill out the back, and there's a wee skift of rain come on, and as soon as Mal pulled the brakes by, she just tucked the front.
I remember that, yeah.
Bike went sliding down the road. He went sliding down the road, Chrissy, with his head first, and him on his hands sliding face down the road, and the bike hit the recticel, and he got up and walked away. Come back to the truck, and the last Superbike race had to be run. And I can remember him, there was Haribos in the truck, and he just started to eat Haribos, so he did, to get the sugar back, and he was shaking like a leaf, like he was just, the nerves had overcome him. But anyway, out he went in the Superbike race, and Derek went out and won it, and Malachi was second, with either William Dunlop third or Don Neen third. But that was something like that. But Mal jumped off a bike on a road race and jumped on a Superbike, went out and beat William Dunlop and Don Neen. Like, and it's an incredible ability he had. Like.
He can ride a bike, Mike Gideon, could he? But he was like, I tell you what, right? He made such an impact on Irish racing in such a short space of time. You know, just as far as his character. And it was unfortunately it was at the Northwest in the Super Twin. Yeah, was it the Super Twin race? Yeah,
Super Twin race. Yeah. Like, look, he won the hearts of everybody, didn't he?
He did.
You know, even a lot of girls liked him too. Like,
a lot of pissed off fathers out there.
He was just an all-round great guy, so he wasn't.
I personally never got to meet him, you know, which is a damn shame. But like his impact was massive, absolutely massive.
As a newcomer at the Northwest, first 600 race that day, just prior to the Super Twin race. Don't remember the winner, but anyway, he was dicing for third place on the last lap with Peter Hickman, and Hickman beat him on the last lap for third place as a newcomer. So, like, you know, there's not many people can do that. He went out on the Super Twin, and say our twin was okay. It wasn't probably the best one on the track, and he had a good, comfortable second place. Like, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out, and poor fella lost his life. And it's one of the hardest things. Definitely questioned myself about running the team and just knowing him so well and whatnot. And his dad Kevin was a big encouragement to keep the team going and whatnot. And to this day, Kevin and me are still very friendly and message on a regular basis and whatnot. But like, nobody will replace Malachi, especially to his father. Like, you know, it's such a major loss. Like, you just can't come to terms with what that would feel like. But you know, it really just showed like the strength of like shall we say, like the racing community, especially in road racing, like the impact that he left and the fact that people still want to continue in his name. It's huge. It really is huge. Like, if a picture of Mal comes up on Facebook today, or whatever, like, there's, you know, it just stands out, I think, doesn't it? And there's loads of people have them memories of him, and you know, I only knew him for a short time. You knew him far better than I would have, Chrissy. Like,
no, I raced in the same category as him, and so I knew him to say hello to. But he was actually. I once had a fundraiser up at my place, and a girl who just lives down the road was dating Malachi at the time, Caitlin, and I walked in and Malachi was sat there, and I didn't. At first, it was like miles from where he lived, so I was a bit surprised to see him. But yeah, it's like you said, it's an unbelievably tragic loss to the sport, and definitely. If a huge rising star, and it's you can always if buts and maybes, but one thing's for certain: if he didn't lose his life, then he would have he had a lot to give to the sport.
There's no doubt in my mind that I believe he would have been a top team on at the level of Hickman's at today. Like, he'd have been right there with the Dunlops and Hickmans, the Harrisons. He was just such a naturally talented guy, like, so he was.
Speaking of Hickman, you've had Hickman on your bike, haven't you? We were doing a bit of Googling on you, and I think we're trying to figure this out.
Well, we've had him on bike, but we never actually got a finish. 2016, Peter rode for me at the TT.
That was it.
And we didn't get a finish in the Super Twin race, unfortunately, with him. But Peter never got a finish either on a Superbike, a Superstock, a 600. He broke down absolutely every race in 2016. And then he went back in 17. I think he got podiums and maybe even his first win, possibly. But so just shows you, if the luck's not with you, Dom, it's not there. But again, it was nice to have him on the bike and formed a relationship with him. Even to this day, like, Peter's a great guy. Like, he's doing his whole Valley thing now, and we've got no one but I got through Jack as well. Like, and it's had a Dunlop's road for me as well. Michael.
The list is just getting longer here, Chrissy.
The very last 250 race at Scarborough was 2013, possibly, the Lee Pullen 250 race. And Michael was on my 250 and William was on Michael's 250. If you can work that out. And the two boys were diced to get on to the last lap, and Michael won the last 250 race of Scarborough on our bike and beat his own bike with William on it.
Aye, that would have been a kind of conversation back at home, wouldn't it? There you go.
Well, what do you call the hairpin that you can see from the paddock? Mere hairpin? No, it's not mere.
It is. That fit. Oh, it's horrible, that little turn.
If you're standing in the paddock and you look way up, you can just see the bikes come out of there. And William led out of it, and Michael come over the start-finish line. So I'm not sure what way that worked out on the way down.
You boys won't want to know. Simple as that.
Do you know, in terms of what's your main sponsor for the team? Like, on the side of the fair? And I know it's very recognisable, but
okay.
Yeah. RK Racing. It's a lady called Charlotte Richardson, and Charlotte's from London. And you're going to say, how did somebody from Cookstown, County Tyrone, get involved with somebody from London? Well, just go back to Malachi. Malachi's father, Kevin, introduced me to Charlotte back in 2018. No, sorry, 2019. So I think the years now.
COVID's throwing it up there.
2019, introduced, and Charlotte came in and we rebranded the team to the blue and white from we were black up to that, the brand of the bikes. And to be fair, I have Charlotte as the main sponsor, and I have other individual sponsors as well. But all my sponsors, and Charlotte stands out. Like, she's such an easy girl to be involved with. To the point is, what we do, we discuss it together. There's no pressure for results. There's no pressure for PR, and obviously I try to do my best. But it's a private run. It's not a company, it's her personally, like, so.
See,
it's very lucky to have her.
I was about to say, people like Rachel are very, very rare, in this sport, but how hard is it for you having a team to try and gain sponsors in, well, quite frankly, when you say road racing, a lot of people, in my experience, you say road racing and they get put off by the danger. They do, you know what I mean? And it's quite hard to actually go, well, this is what I'm offering. So how hard is it from your end?
To be honest, I've never went and rapped on anybody's door for sponsorship because you both know it's so difficult to get. And yes, if there's somebody involved in the sport, that maybe you get a name through somebody else, this person would like to maybe get involved, whether it's you or you, whoever, then you can try and sell yourself to them. But thankfully, any sponsors I have came to myself, so they've known what I've been doing. So I'm doing road racing, they know the dangers before they come, and they want to get their name on the bike and get involved some way. So very fortunate, very lucky to get. But it wouldn't be easy going looking sponsorship. Definitely not for like, at the end of the day, if you go to a company and the MD in the company is into golf or he's into football, he ain't going to sponsor motorbikes.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
exactly. He's going to want to put the money. He'll see the proper sense in going to the golf and going to the football.
What, in terms of the stable of bikes that you've got at the moment, what
doesn't he have? I think this is going to be the important.
So what bikes do you have?
That's not that bad.
Super, got a sidecar.
I'm not having one. Super stock, super bikes. Back we run Suzuki, so we do, and in 600s we run Yamahas. So this year, obviously, this last couple of years we've had two riders, so we've got spare bikes now. As such, we're only going to run one rider, albeit the second rider, we could talk about at the moment, it will be my son Jack, but he's not riding any of the bigger bikes, and he's certainly not doing the roads. So
now I'm going to be very honest with you. I didn't want him sitting in here until I asked this question. It's a bit like being what you've gone through and everything. Yeah. Seeing Jack, is it a case of roads? How do you feel about that?
No, definitely, definitely not. Would be with my blessing going road racing. I don't mean that I'm running the team, and that sounds maybe bad coming from me, but when you get an adult, like we have adults riding, like if you ride my bikes or Mike Brown's ride my bikes, you're old enough, you're making the decision. Yes, Jack will come out old enough and make a decision himself, but I don't want to steer him down road racing. Look, he's my kid. I've seen the downside of it. He's too precious to me to risk things like that. So I think most parents, you're probably different. Dom, your father done it. My dad never actually seen me race apart from the Northwest, where he has a caravan and he'd come out. His caravan on the circuit, so he come out to actually watch it. But as far as watching me doing the Cookstown, Tandragee, and I've never seen me. He rang me when it's a TT the night before the race. Now take it easy tomorrow, and I felt like saying, "Dad, it's a race, you do it." And that is the words he said. So no, I'm going to try and encourage, and I am encouraging be pushing Jack down the short circuit route, and that's probably where we may diversify a bit if we go to England to do British Championship over to your side of the track. Chrissy, that we may run short circuit and then TT Northwest, stuff like that, what.
Click, buy, deliver with remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
Excellent. So we're back and we're joined by little Jack. Welcome to the podcast, son. Is this the first time you've done anything like this?
Yeah, it's the first time I've done something like this, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And we'll have
Doesn't mean you're going to enjoy it, though.
Yeah. We'll have a bit crack about what you've been up to the last few years. But I've just got I got on Dom's hotspot, and I've got the Patreon question from Canada. So here we go.
Hey, John. Mel from Canada here. I want to thank you for all the great advice you gave us on the newcomers bus at Tandragee in 2018. Really got me through the meeting, safe and sound. Amazing time. My question would be, is there a rider or riders that you wish you could have worked with over the years or had intended to but just never happened for whatever reason? If so, who would they be? Cheers. Thanks very much and best of luck for this year.
Cool.
Oh,
Dominic Herberson, boy, I never got to work with him.
Hey, there's always time. There's always time.
After this interview, it'll be definitely he's never going to ask us. There you go. No, I'd love to come race for you. There you go. So, before you answer that, who would your dream rider be on the Burrows team?
I don't know, that's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah, because there's loads of people who'd be good.
I tell you what, any paddock across the world, give me one rider to race for your team, the family
Fabio
team.
Quartararo.
That was straight off the bat. No mercy there. Good man. There you go.
I don't even know what's that, MotoGP.
MotoGP. You'll have to swap from Suzuki's to Yamahas, though. So straight off the bat. But what about you, John?
Glenn Rose, I'm trying to think, was there somebody that we sort of chased and tried to get on the bikes, and it sounds bad that I can't really, think of that one. Like, I suppose I've mentioned Dunlop there. Michael has been good friends with me for many years, and we chat on a regular basis. Funny that I got a missed call today from him. I must return the call tomorrow. Must do that. But anyway,
I feel like you should answer it. Get him on the phone.
Now,
That's it. Loudspeaker.
Probably I'd love to have done something with Michael at TT or something. Really would have had. But like the opportunity isn't really ever going to rise with Michael for his loads of help around him, hasn't he? And bags coming out of his ears, really. Whatever he wants, he can get that road. But he's tremendous talent, and yes, I suppose this last couple of years, Hickman has raised the bar a bit. But I still believe in Michael. I still believe there's TTs in him. Probably in 2019, maybe he wasn't the best shape he could have been in, maybe for racing. But certainly, I've seen him last year, 2021, and doing short circuits and done RMI and that, and he seemed to Michael had really wanted, do
you know, in terms of the Suzuki, a lot of the people in the UK that run Suzukis tend to say buy them from like Hawk and maybe buy them as a bike like ready to race. Do you buy them as a complete street bike and like do bits and pieces to them yourself to get them up to race spec?
Yeah, well, in recent years we have, Chrissy, we touched on whenever I bought a couple of bikes off Taz in the past, but the newer model Suzuki. I've bought them off Suzuki direct myself and then built them into race bikes. And I think we've had 5 of them now, and we've only got a couple left now. That's all we need. But look, you get to know what you need, and Steve at Hawk helps me as well. If I needed a question answered, what direction to go, he would help me out. And we've got a friend that does engine building for us as well. He's been involved with TAS in the past, and you sort of you've been at that long, you sort of know where to go and places to get bits and pieces. And
Sure.
I guess you can get the bike as good as you can and put all this fancy suspension in it, but the key is getting the suspension working right, isn't it, when you go to Northwest TT or whatever like so.
Have you tried a few different flavours of suspension, or have you just stuck with what you run?
We had been with Olin's for some time, and then we jumped across the K-Tech job, and been with K-Tech now quite a while, and I feel I can get a rather good personal touch with K-Tech, and we've mentioned Mark Arnold of Motoshock. Mark would be a K-Tech guy, and he has a good direct link with him as well, and the product has worked perfectly for me. Like, I'm really happy with it.
Excellent. We've got a really long question, which I think it's a lot of questions in one comment, but I'll read the whole thing out and then we can maybe just pick a part of it. So Mike Orton, what sort of budget is involved in running the team for a full season of Irish Nationals TT, Northwest and Ulster Grand Prix? Who does he see coming through that will push him, like the likes of McGee, Shields, McLean? How many of the national clubs does he think will survive the effects of the pandemic? Surely Armoy, Cookstown will, having run meetings. Will the wristband entry system continue? Hopefully it will give a lifeline to clubs if they can charge entry. Lots to go through.
I feel like you should ask one at a time again.
Yeah.
What
What did they say your profession was? A teacher?
My maths teacher.
Jack needs some maths sorted here when we're finished, okay?
Well, you can definitely answer the budget one then, right? This is your first question.
Yeah, obviously not to ask personal questions, but just a rough sort of guide to, like, say, running a whole team for like some of the big road racing events. Have you got any sort of like insight?
By what he means by roughly is the exact pound to the pence. That's what we're after,
That's because his teaching's coming into play here.
That's exactly it.
Look, it is so difficult to put a figure on, it really is, Chrissy. We've had engine failures 2021, and there were our 6 engines, proper jobs, and we lost 3 of them. So straight away, that was probably in the region of 25 grand. I mean, destroyed cases, done heads and what. So if you're having that put into your road race budget, it could floor you of what your budget was. So it's so hard to put a figure on it, but running, and depending how many riders you run the team. We have run 2 riders in the team, we're back to 1 rider. Doesn't by no means cut the budget in half or anywhere close, because everything, like, we still have the same bikes, so all has to be repaired. The only thing different is you're getting wear and tear on double amount of bikes engine wise. So figure wise, it's just so difficult. I would be scared to count it up. But so as I say, going on that one about you go to the Northwest and go to TT with and dropping motors, it's a disaster. Like, and the both events are that close together. Getting parts, getting them fixed.
You see, this is the question I always ask myself. I love the Northwest. I love the event. I love everything about it. But if I had to go, like at the moment, like sitting here right now, I don't have a big bike ride going in the next season. And it's a bit like if I have to go get my own bike, which I will, like potentially, would I miss the Northwest to go to the TT because of the time gap? Because if you drop an engine, it's terrifying. Is that something that you've done in the past, or have you always had to do for sponsors' sake and everyone?
Well, we've always done the Northwest, because of you're an Irish team,
yes,
and you have mostly your sponsors are Irish. Yes, we talked about Charlotte and Charles from London, but she sponsors the team because of Northwest TT, Ulster Grand Prix, and so forth. So we have to do the Northwest for our local sponsors, and the riders I have on board want to do the Northwest.
Yes.
But a couple of years going back to 2017, it was the time the new Suzuki came out first. We dropped an engine at the Northwest. We hadn't a spare engine. If you couldn't get a spare engine, the only way to get a spare engine back in was buying a bike. And I struggle to justify the point buying a bike to take an engine out of it. But anyway, our truck goes from the Northwest TT on the Saturday night. You know, they run the boat from Belfast to the Isle of Man. Otherwise, you've got to go through Heysham. So it's, you know, the week later. So I always take advantage of putting the lorry on the boat on the Saturday night, going across the Isle of Man, setting up on the Sunday, flying back on Sunday night. We had to drop the engine at the Northwest, leave the engine at home, send the bike and all on, and then bring the engine back out in a couple of weeks' time. So it doesn't probably, that's got off the question to be asked, but it's a major problem having the two vans so closely.
Yeah.
Was there any other parts of that question that you were particularly wanting?
I was about to say, I think we answered part one of that, part 3 questions. So it's like, where
what about who does see come through that?
Yes, there we
push
are.
the likes of McGee, Shields, McLean. Is there any sort of young talent that you?
Mike Brown.
Good
Easy
answer.
answer.
They are straight away. Touch biased.
I do honestly think Mike's probably going to be the next man to come onto that level. And, you know, I personally think he's got an exceptional talent, and he's an all-round good lad as well. Like, so, we'll see. He went to Manx Grand Prix as a newcomer and was leading the newcomers race, blew up on Sulby State, put him out of that race. I think had a 4th place finish in the senior Manx Grand Prix as a newcomer. Like that's, you know what it's like. That's a great result. Went to the TT, so he's done one Manx Grand Prix and with limited laps. Went to TT, which was 2019 first TT, and he has lapped on a 600. And there's only two lap 600 races, right? On 2019.
Jeez, there were 2 lappers, weren't there?
He's never done it. He actually told me yesterday he has never done a pit stop yet at the TT.
Wow.
Because there were 2 lap. He only had a 600, so he didn't have a big bag. So he has never actually done a pit stop.
Oh, he's got a lot to look forward to.
So that's going to be interesting for it. He is really well organised.
Jack, you should see the sweat running off the brows, mate. You wait till you watch that one day, you'll be like,
so
the fear in a man's eyes.
It's just laps shy of 122 on a 600 for his first TT. That's a good.
Very good.
That's often.
The last part of the question actually ties in with another question that we've got from Adam Watt, talking about the club sort of surviving. Adam said something about so I think Irish road racing become outpriced for so many clubs and riders from competing due to the insurance price demands imposed on the clubs. Is that an issue like across the board to do with insurance?
Clubs are always struggling, I think. The problem is over here, Chrissy, in BSB, you can charge it at the gate, can't you? And I don't know what much is to watch a BSB today.
It's like 40 quid or something.
I was going to say
Per
20.
person? Is that per person? You just said that. Yeah, what's the problem? It's 40 quid, mate. Jesus.
So you have 40 quid and you have tens of thousands of people that actually bronze hats, don't you?
Yeah, usually like 20, 30,000.
So that's a lot of money. You're a maths teacher, you can work all that out. Like, but anyway, Irish National Road Racing, technically, I don't think you're allowed to charge coming in at the gate like as such. Now, what they have done now, they're setting up checkpoints, you want to say, at all the road ends and selling your programme. So trying to encourage the spectator to buy the programme. They buy the programme, and it's usually £10 or £15, whatever it is. That would be your contribution to pay in. If every spectator would do that coming in, it would, one, take the entry fees down for you as a rider. They all have to be paid, and if you're coming from the UK, paying entry fees and boats and everything, it all adds up to a lot of money. But also you can see the reason why the club need that entry fee money to run the event, but it shouldn't be the case that the rider has to pay an entry. But
do you know the national scene over here, like a sort of a week? Do you just race on Saturday, or is it Saturday and Sunday?
So down south you do Saturday, Sunday,
right,
and then in the north it's Friday. So you got like Friday testing, Friday
testing.
No. I tell you what, in some way, I've said this before, like in the early days of the pod, but in some ways it's almost harder than British because you get one crack at each track a year, and you get 5 laps if you're lucky.
And there's only 4 of them count.
Aye,
there's only 4 count. Like.
So bear in mind, you've got to go out, warm up the tyre. Second lap, you're kind of getting your eye in. Third lap, you pray for no one in your way, and you've got to go.
And if in say like a Friday, Saturday meeting, what is entry fees for like a? Is it quite expensive to take part?
I've been out of that side of it so long.
It's like 300 odd quid.
Right.
It's an expensive, but it's road race. For God, it's brilliant. I'm totally biased. That's my problem. But it is for the track time you get. I tell you what, that's one thing I really wish that the Northern Irish could do is 3-day events. You know, like when Scarborough came back, they actually had 3-day events because the council allowed them to shut the roads more. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot more I've been awake far too long today. Disruption, and it's more closures and everything like that. But imagine you would get so many more riders coming to the events. In my opinion, if they had 3 days on track, is that a fair comment to say?
Probably would. I would love.
He's thinking about his checkbook. He's like, nah, 2 days, Dom. 2 days. That's it. That's me cut.
I know. Yes, it does lengthen the weekend. Well, if for the likes of you'd mess about till it's in for a week then, if you know what I mean. By the time you leave home in the UK and get to Northern Ireland and do your racing, you'll be away for 5 days. But anyway, I just wish there could be more practice. The 5 lap rule that everybody has to do prior to racing, and that's your qualifying. It's just ridiculous, but that's how it is, and that's how it is for everybody. But as Dom says, if you don't get your eye on the ball, early, you don't get a lap. But if you come as a newcomer, which you never know, you maybe do one someday, Chrissy, by National Road Race Man. If you come as a newcomer, so you get 5 laps as a newcomer, then the next time you see the track, that's your qualifying for that class. Now, if you come and you're a quality rider, which is going to be able to run the sharp end, if you had enough track time, you have basically no chance of getting close to the front of the grid with all the experience you have over the Derek Seals, Derek McGee's, Sweeney's, Dunlops, Herbison's, Browns. There's so many competitive good riders, isn't there, on the grid? So, like Davy Todd when he came, and this is a fair question or a fair question or answer, whatever you want to put it, for Davy. Davy never set the Irish national scene alight for us, so he didn't. But when he went to the internationals, he was best newcomer at the Northwest, best newcomer TT, second ever best newcomer TT, bar Hickman. But before he got the track time, but because he didn't get the track time at the nationals, he struggled to get to the front. But anywhere we had the track time, he was able to
stretch his legs, won't he?
Yeah.
He was off, yeah.
So it's just a shame that there's not more track time at nationals, but it is what it is, and that's how it is.
And we've just got our fingers crossed for the future of road racing. But let's speak about the future right now in the Burrows team. So, Jack, the deep end, my man, what's the plan for 2020? That's scary to say, isn't it? 2022, brand new year. Happy New Year, of course. Where's my manners? There you go.
Can I just ask, how old are you?
22. The age different over here.
12 next month.
Oh, great. So what's that like? Are you first year in secondary school?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And I know a little bit because you told us outside, but what have you been up to this year, just gone 2021?
So we've been riding the Bucci 140 at the Irish Minibike Championship over here.
And is that on like sort of go-kart style tracks?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, cool. And how did the season go?
Yeah, good. Got second in the championship. We had a good last 2 rounds. Won all of the races, 5 in a row. So
fantastic!
Don't be too happy about it. You got for 5 in a row.
Is there many? Is it quite a big scene over here? The mini bike stuff. Like, how many bikes are in your race, for example?
My race, I said there's maybe 10 riders. So
yeah, very decent then.
Yeah.
And is there quite a few different tracks?
Well, there's 2 this year, but there will be a lot more this year. There's because of the restrictions from COVID.
Yeah.
We couldn't go down south or nothing. So
right. Oh, so you've got the is it your choice whether to run like an Ovalian or did you say a Bucci?
Yeah, the Bucci is a 12-inch wheel bike which we originally got for Jack to ride, and then the Valley thing came in. Hickman got a series over here for. To get the Valley thing up and running, and we got one of them because of the restrictions that Jack just said. We weren't getting enough riding, so we decided to go down the Valley route. But I think there was 6 rounds, and we didn't start to round 3. Sorry, round 3 we didn't start to, and the first 3 in the championship then got going out to Valencia to ride with that MotoGP. But stayed away the first round we done. We won the first race on the day, and then we had a second and a third. So first, a second, and third on the first day of that championship. But
On the Valley.
on the Valley. But then the next round I went to, we didn't do so well at the next round because of track time prior to, a bit like the road racing thing we're talking about. So we hit that in the head because we'd lost 2 rounds and the points were gone. It was going to be a massive climb to get there, and for one reason or another, we didn't finish out the championship. It would have been nice to finish it out, and I got an opportunity to go to Valencia, but
Do you know the wee Irish lad that went? Do you like that? Like, I'm getting speaking the lingo. Do you know the Irish lad that went over to Valencia? He was like right up near the front.
yeah.
What was his name?
So, because
Is that Joshua O'Brien?
Yeah,
O'Brien.
so I was speaking to Hickman and Brian McCormack, and they were saying that he was, I mean, internationally against all the Spanish, Italian, like the very best in the world, he's pretty much, he was up there. Is that the sort of level? Are you sort of racing against him?
yeah, well, Joyce hasn't come up to do the
No,
IMC.
he hasn't come up yet. I only raced against him in the Valley,
Yeah.
so I have. So
So is that the 12-inch or a 10-inch?
that's the 10-inch.
Like, which one do you prefer?
Well,
Here comes your corporate skill.
the Bucci sort of handles a bit better over bumps and stuff, and the O'Valley's a bit easier to turn. But
The problem is with the Valley, because the series, you have to run a Pirelli tyre on it, so you have, and their front Pirelli tyre is, I'm not going to say the size for somebody who'll contradict me on, but it's a wider tyre, so it's much a flatter tyre. The Bucci, we're allowed to run a different tyre, which is more picky, so it flows a bit better. I do think the Valley, that's the reason why the Valley doesn't suit us quite as well, because of the front end of the bike, and it's shorter and smaller wheels and stuff. But when we went to get back on the Bucci, it had lost Jack's pace a bit on the Bucci, and it took us. I could get onto the Irwin and Glen involved, and went down to Achadoo. We tracked down the road from ourselves here, and we done a bit of work with Jack there over 2 or 3 different nights, and bang, we got him back on again. But it's so, jumping from one bike to the other just didn't seem to work as well as we thought it would. Like, so,
Do you think are you a bit of a motocross dad when it comes to Jack? Or
Hold on, no, we're going to better question here. What's your dad like? As a boss, don't you dare answer, John. This is all you, Jack. There. What's for a boss? What's your dad like for a boss?
well, he definitely pushes me on. Yeah,
Good.
good start. But yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
Your mother will be glued to the telly right now.
I'm mad to get in here to just say a bit better.
Yeah. I tell you what, are you doing the All Valley thing next year, the championship, or have you not decided?
He used to ask me that out in the garage. He says, "What are we doing with this, Dad?" Look, we're going to ride the Bucci this year, and we had done one BMB last year over British mini bike.
Yeah.
So you call it British mini
British mini bikes. Yeah.
Championship. So that was Jack's first ever race. We hadn't touched on Jack done kart racing for three years, so we did.
Oh, I forgot about that.
5 years.
And
5 years.
5 years, there you are. Time flies, but done kart racing for 5 years, and we're lucky he was Irish champion, Ulcer champion, and we done some British Championship rounds as well at PFI over in England and whatnot. So he jumped on the bikes last year, which was his first time on bikes. Now, he rode wee peewees and stuff around the field, but nothing serious. We got a stump bike in lockdown, and it learnt him just gears, how to use the clutch and use gears and whatnot. So this very first race, because of lockdown, there's no racing over here, we went to do a British mini bike series, and he got a second, a third, and a fourth at his first attempt, and finished third overall, I think, over the weekend.
Yes, third overall.
So that was
Well done, mate.
On a stomp.
that's
on the Bucci.
On the Bucci.
Till the fact is, after the last race, they wanted us back in the dyno, so I just said to them, no problem, having the dyno, it sounds as if we've done a good job.
Because it's pretty competitive, the mini bike.
It's seriously competitive.
Seriously, Hickman does it, and that weekend we were there. What do you call the other BSB guy was there? Storm Stacey.
Mm-hmm.
He was riding, wasn't he? So it's really good. I really enjoyed it, and you were just asking Jack what it was I like as a boss, like, and
we're getting your point of view now.
I get my point of view now. Like,
I'm brilliant.
to be fair, honestly, we get on so well in the bike, and so we do, probably more so than we did at Carton. And Jack jumped on the bikes, and in my mind, straight away he clicked with it. He seemed to flow with it, and you know, obviously you're going to be a proud dad. I feel he's good at it. Like, so, I'm not pushing him on, but I'm trying to tidy up the places where I feel you know, he's maybe going wrong, and they are few and far between, because coming from the kart racing, karting is massive, but driving the track and using the track for yourself. He jumped on the bike and straight away the lines were there. He knew how to go for the apex, the corner and whatnot. But we've been friendly with the Airman boys for years, like, and they've got 2 volleys, so they'll come out along with Jack and play with Jack on the bikes down at that track up at I was telling you. But they do help, and Andre was watching them one night and stopped Jack and told him, like, Jack, you know, there's more road left on the way in there, make sure and get out further. Just wee simple things. And it's always easier, Chrissy, when you're standing looking at something to see where the wrongs are. But look, he's doing a tremendous job, he really is. And I don't want to get, there's going to be plenty here, so that I'm competitive, but I mean, they're pushing on and we must do this, we must do that, but you have to try and enjoy it, don't you?
Yeah.
These are enjoyable years on the way up, aren't they?
100%. Do you have any, or do you just kind of treat every year as it comes, or do you have any, like, do you see, like, any classes at, say, BSB or anything, or do you have, like, aspirations of going World Superbikes, or do you see MotoGP? Like, where would you like to go, ideally, if you can follow your dreams type of thing?
Well, obviously the dream is to get to MotoGP or World Superbikes, but if you can sort of get into the BSB paddock, then you can hopefully from Moto3 then you can get to the maybe 400s and then 600 and then the big bike class.
I tell you what,
Good lad. I've tried to be a darts player. It went horribly wrong for me, mate.
I tell you what, you've got a great sort of everything sort of a great setup here in terms of especially having the Irwin brothers up the road for advice, and obviously if you've got a track that you can practice on and a dad that's willing to take you and get stuck in, so just follow your dreams, son, get stuck in, and you never know where you can end up, but just give it your best and enjoy it. That's the main thing, as long as you're enjoying it, and I would say that's my biggest tip, I would say.
No, you got to enjoy it along the way, and look, I can put pressure on, of course. All dads is going to want their son to be the best, and I'm trying not to be that dad, but I'm competitive. I'm not going to hide that. We all enjoy winning, and at the end of the day, I suppose you need to have that goal, don't you? Like, to do that. But as Jack said, he turns 12 now in February, and they've changed. Our plan was to go Moto3 and do a few British Talent Cups, right? But they've changed that now, that it's 13 next year, and then in 2023 it goes to 14. So the cap's off at 14, I believe. And I really do believe that age move is a good thing, Chrissy. Yeah. You're in that paddock every weekend. You know what it's like. 12's young to be riding a Moto3 bike at whatever 100. You
can do it well over 100 miles an hour, maybe 120 miles an hour. Yeah. And so, when you say it like that, and you look at Jack now, and if you were to sort of think in a few months' time doing 120 miles an hour with like walls not too far away, I think so you're totally right.
I think them couple of years out now is going to help. Now we are getting a Moto3. We can ride a Moto3 back home at Kirkeston and Bishop's Court in the Ulster Championship, and the grids are so much smaller. You may have 10 to 15 riders on the grid, and there's just so much more room then on the track. Whereas you go to BSB, and as Jack said, that's where I'd like to go, and that's where I'd like to bring him, and hopefully that's where our goal will be in 2024. It gives us 2 years now of learning of how to ride a Moto3. So when he goes to England, it's a massive step, learning them circuits, so he can forget about what he's actually sitting on, because he'll know what it feels like to ride that, and he can then start learning the circuits.
Jump in the deep end without your armbands, mate. Good lad. Good lad. And you're very good on the microphone as well. We're gonna have to watch our backs here, Chrissy. You know what I mean? Very, very calm and confident. But I'll tell you what, I think that is a perfect time to wrap up this evening. Let everyone go to bed. Like, it's been a long day for everyone, and it's
26 o'clock.
Jesus.
One last thing
one
before
more.
we go.
The pair of you doing this, mate.
So we've got this is a little game that we're just run. So we have got a leaderboard. I haven't got it up at the moment, but the top score is in fact
The fear in your face,
Jonathan Ray just actually just got top score. So it was 13.5, and he got slightly over 13.5. So should we give him 13.6?
It was definitely a 6.
Yeah,
It's definitely
13.6. But basically,
Jonathan Ray.
you just hold it like that and then like squeeze as hard as you can. So you get two goes. I'll shift this microphone out.
Go on, Jack. I hope you beat your dad here. This will be crack.
So just arms straight.
But John's
like
got
that.
He's got some forwarding pins on him. He'll be able to handle this.
And then go on, have a
Is this
practice.
competitive thing coming out on me?
Oh yeah, here we go. Straight on.
You video it too.
Is Johnny Ray live there watching this?
Recording?
I'm recording.
Right, go on, have a good squeeze. Go on, I think you'd if you do
that's
that.
the one.
Do that. So have a good squeeze. Go on, and that's 9. And then
Squeeze, man.
and then have a little break.
I've got a bad finger.
Oh,
That's a truction finger.
That's it. And then go on.
Right, this is
Straight
it,
up.
like.
Yeah.
Squeeze. You've got this,
All
mate.
you've
Go on.
got.
Squeeze. Yes.
That's more like
That's a 10.5.
10.5. That's
very
strong.
good.
Strong.
We'll let it go with that.
Wait, you're not at the bottom.
Yeah. Go on, Jack.
Think
You
your
have
finger on the bottom. Right, Jack. Straight arms. Go for it.
Yeah, that's it.
Here we go. Right,
on.
that's it. Go on.
Wow, good lad.
Go on, one more time. Straight arm. Up in the air. That was much better the second time, mate.
11.2.
That's
it. I'll shift this. But lads, thanks so much for coming on. And I truly wish you all the best with your racing for next year. Get stuck in. And look forward to. I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to seeing a bit of road racing for for it being a long old gap with the whole COVID job. So really looking forward to seeing all the bikes out in action sometime soon.
Hopefully.
And I wish both you guys the best in 2022 for whatever directions you're heading and whatever you get your plans released there, Chrissy. And obviously, we're going to see Dom over here.
Did you hear the we're going to see him again now.
He's quite quiet, as you know, around the paddock. Like, you never see him.
I'm a closed book, John. What can I say? I'm a closed book. But yet again, lads, thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time. Hold on. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. You've got to thank the sponsors.
Yeah. So check our sponsors, Colchester, Kawasaki. Massive thank you to all of our patrons, and we'll continue our tour of Northern Ireland tomorrow. It's been a long old day today, but lads, thanks very much for your time, and catch up soon.
Cheers, lads. Cheers.
Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.